Cloud City from Narrow Gauge.
I got some on my computer.
That's how you know it's doing the work.
God, that's good. Hey, did you know?
This is delicious.
Did you know that there are more 3-car garages being built in St. Louis than there are 1-bedroom apartments?
What an upper.
Wait, not 3-bedroom houses, 3-car garages.
3-car garages. Yep.
Which means that's like a 6-bedroom house, most likely, or a 5-bedroom house.
Yeah. Most likely a bare minimum of like 4.
People sleep in their cars all the time.
Well, that's a sad fact.
Ooh.
Like, that's a harsh reality of
that went from a downer to an even more downer.
The
most
facts,
3-car garages are the size of a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, the fact that like most unhoused people are not the chronic unhoused population that you think about.
A 3-car garage is the size of a generous 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, good point.
Oh, like I've been in some. I was in a band that practiced in the suburbs for a while. Like, I don't know. I've also lived in apartments that are smaller than insert old bandmate's mom's name here. I won't say her whole name. I've definitely lived in apartments that are smaller than that 3-car garage, including my one that I lived in the Grove when I moved here.
Oh, cool.
Which was like a Section 8 1-bedroom house, or 1-bedroom apartment, but it was still square footage wise, at least laid out to feel smaller than that garage, and that's what matters. My feelings.
How much tax revenue does a 3-car garage generate versus a 1-bedroom apartment?
That's laughable.
And this is overarching. I'm Colin.
I'm David.
I'm Bradley.
And this is overarching.
Ready for the pledge?
Let's say the pledge.
I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to read off Bradley's.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Hope your eyes are good.
They are.
I pledge allegiance to Gregory FX Daly, the one to whom we owe it all, and to our taxes, which we prefer to be paid into and thusly spent on one unified city, and not all willy-nilly between 91 different county municipalities, 1% to the God of yellow envelopes ignored by all. I have some readers theater for you.
Ooh.
Yes.
And it's incomplete. We're workshopping it, but these are some discrete bits about.
This is actually a cold read, by the way.
It's a cold read. So, St. Louis, we have this bell. Right here. This bell is to denote a very specific kind of St. Louis thing. Racism mostly, but it's this very specific
racism adjacent.
It's like the racism is the big part of the Venn diagram, and honestly, you could probably track it all back to racism anyway because that's the way it works. But this bell is for that particular St. Louis reaction that I feel like has some sort of je ne sais quoi. There's not really something you can really. There's not a word you can assign to it. So I wrote a scene that accurately describes, I think, the way we utilize this bell.
Okay.
And we're calling this
scene.
You know what that means.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what that means.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. David, what high school did you go to?
I went to McClure North, actually.
Oh.
You know what that means.
Colin, where do you live?
I live in McKinley Heights.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Where's that?
Oh, it's like just south of Lafayette Square and just west of Soulard and just north of Benton Park. And you can walk to all three. It's pretty cool, actually.
You like it over there?
You know what that means. And this is a conversation I have at least once a week.
I believe that. Man, St. Louis has the best Chinese food.
Bofeng on North Grand, the best. Go there all the time. Right
It's all about Kim Van restaurant over on Gravois.
Oh, my favorite is this place out in Ladue. It's called...
You know what that means.
It was a bit of a reach.
Thanks for my...
That was a bit of a reach in both ways.
Yeah. Are there any Chinese joints out in Ladue?
Yeah, I looked.
P.F. Chang's?
That's one of them. I didn't want to disparage.
I think P.F. Chang's is all gone besides the one in Chesterfield, right?
Or maybe there's one on Olive and Creekcore.
Is there?
I think so.
Well, there's the one by Chesterfield Mall, but there's...
Who cares?
What was the place with the big chopsticks that went out of business?
Fork and Sticks?
Fork and Sticks.
No, that's on the loop. It's
Nope,
still there.
different place. My
Fork
bad.
and Sticks is really good.
There's
No, it's not.
You're,
It's not
you're,
that
you're,
one.
You're thinking about Limburg and Olive.
It was on that Dragon Creek court. It's a chain and it had the big like the place looked like a Chinese food. It looked like the kiosks from Roller Coaster Tycoon.
It was good. It was pretty all right though. There's also other things that aren't important.
Pete Collin, how do you get to baseball games?
Oh, I take the Metrolink. I pick it up right at Grand.
Do you feel safe?
You know what that means.
Thank you for picking up on that.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that happened organically.
I've literally had friends' parents insist on driving me home after a game.
I've been present at a baseball game with you where our friend and you and me and her parents were all there.
Yeah.
And we were all going to take the Metro back because we all live, in the city or city adjacent or near the Metrolink stations. Yeah. And they insisted on us sitting in traffic for 30 to 40 whole minutes while they drove us in their car back to wherever we needed to go when we could have been home by then and just fine.
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway.
No, I will not text you.
It's a good reader's theater.
Yeah, there's more to be had here, but that's the bell. You know what that means.
You know what that means.
I have another game for you too.
Ooh. Welcome to Game Zone.
It's the Game Zone.
Wait, what's like the snack zone from
from
Jet Lag? The game. What
they don't. It's not. It's just like a graphic. There's
snack zone.
We don't need more graphics for Ian to build.
No.
Well, harmonize with me. 5, 6, 7, 8. Snack zone. Some good fifths.
That was actually
We're singers. Auto-tune that later. I'm gonna name a street in the city.
Okay.
And I need you to tell me that same street name in the county. St. Louis famously has all these street names that change over the city line.
Colin's good at coming up with these games.
And I like looking at maps. And,
first of all, we all love looking at maps.
We're map men. We're not map men.
Map boys?
We're map boys.
But we could also, where this is not the, we could also play a game of like, which street has the most disconnected segments of itself?
That is a whole other game, yes. In researching today's topic, found a lot of those. That's a story for another time.
Which streets have the least amount of bollards that need the most amount of bollards?
I'm going to name a street in the city. You name it in the county. Go. Chippewa.
Oh, Watson.
Easy, yes. Yeah. Broadway to the south.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to think where that becomes.
There are 2 acceptable answers.
Okay, Broadway isn't called Broadway?
Nope.
Past that?
It changes at the city line for a second and then goes to yet another name that is a major street in South County.
Telegraph?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's in Kingston.
No
in
way
Lee
Broadway
May.
turns into Telegraph.
Sure does.
That's wild.
And it has one of the best views of the arch. If you have a long lens and you want to take a really nice picture of the arch, drive up Telegraph toward the city, and you'll come on this hill, and it's like all of a sudden all of downtown St. Louis is right in front of you. It's very, very cool. And then you meander your way, and you end up on Broadway near the casino.
That's a good point. I don't spend a lot of time down there.
A thing that'll upset everybody in Northwest County, which that
is not a thing.
Right, because it's upsetting to, people in West County to say that they're north. Martin Luther King Avenue or Boulevard. Martin Luther King.
That's
Page.
Incorrect.
Oh, no.
Page is Page in the city.
Page does not change. That's correct.
I know.
St. Charles Rock Road.
Correct.
That's the Rock Road. Yeah.
MLK becomes St. Charles Rock Road.
That is offensive.
Broadway to the north.
Right, north, because I only think about, if I think like North Riverfront, it's not, I think I'm imagining Hall Street. I know that's a wrong answer because that's in the city still.
Yes. I will say, as a clue. So
you're saying this hits in Spanish Lake or something?
No. Spanish Lake is on the southwest side. Oh, I was thinking of. Never mind.
I don't know what Broadway turns into up north.
Broadway so I'll give you a clue. This is a technicality.
Okay.
But kind of not, because it's like a straight continuation. It changes over on the Roundabout of Death on the north side, the 6-way roundabout.
Oh, that's where it changes?
It changes there. There is a real one on this list, but this is the one that the actual
So does it
the
change
designation
367?
So 367 is the real one on this list, and I'm not going to give that one away for a second. This 367 stays 367, and that's the one I included on this list.
Yeah.
Broadway used to continue and be this street before this roundabout was there. They don't technically have the same state designation, but it's the same road.
West Florissant?
No, West Florissant is West Florissant, and then within the city it becomes North Florissant.
Right. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, I almost included that, but that just changes arbitrarily. in the city.
Longfellow?
Nope.
Riverview?
Nope. The fact that David doesn't know all these north side streets.
Whoa. I know. I just named you a bunch of north side streets.
That all are in way different locations.
They are.
The correct one is Halls Ferry Road.
I was going to. That
Okay.
was on the tip of my tongue. I want to say.
Zoom in on the tip of his tongue.
Here's the
Find
thing.
out.
I deserve that bell a lot. All right? I do. I have a lot of problems from my past. Okay,
We're gonna do two more, and these
Okay.
ones I
I'm
consider
recovering.
one's north side, one's south side.
Play
I'll give
along
you the
at
north
home.
side first. Morganford.
Oh, what? No. Oh,
Oh yeah, it does.
because I always think of Morganford as terminating at the park.
Does that turn into 21?
Oh, south. Oh, going south.
South.
You said you were on
Sorry,
North Brain.
Morganford going south.
That turns into Watts. No, hold on.
That's Chippewa, baby.
But
We already said that
It's
one
not-
within
'cause
the
it's
context
not-
of this game.
Because I know it's not.
it's not 21.
It's not
Tesson.
It's not Tesson Ferry because Tesson Ferry goes to Coron.
And
That's
it does it.
because what is the other side of Tesson Ferry? Is it goes
Sappington.
toward
or
towards
something?
Ivory. That's Carondelet.
Oh, you're not talking Tesson Ferry.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
You're thinking of.
Find out.
I almost included this one, but it was a little too.
You're not allowed to look.
Well,
Cheater.
Yeah, don't look. I'll give you that
Cheater.
answer because I
Okay.
almost included that one, and then I didn't. You are thinking of Lee May Ferry.
Oh yes.
Easy to confuse.
21 is Gravaway.
Yeah. Way
Yeah,
out.
it's yeah.
Way out.
Yeah, grab.
I mean, it's all 21, but it's
Do something for me.
So
the correct answer is Morganford becomes Union. React.
I did. Well, my reaction is I can't think of I don't
It becomes
conceive of a
Union to the
union.
south?
I can't conceive of a Union Street in the county because I just think of Union
It's Union. It's Union Road, and if you're going on 55 South, it's the weird overpass, right where you go into the county. It's this weird overpass that seems to be traveling in the same direction as the highway, and
Yes.
it's this really long bridge that goes over it. Riding a bike on it is the worst thing in the world.
Got it. Makes sense now.
Used to know somebody, or still know this person, but they used to work on Union, and I would ride my bike to visit them.
right,
And
Union.
and it was hard. Also, one of the best examples of city county maintenance, because you can be driving on Morganford, and then all of a sudden the color of the road changes for better or worse. It depends on what it is, but it's just it says "Welcome to St. Louis County," and you're just in a new location. Nothing else about it changes. And then the last one, the big hard one.
in a different way.
Yeah.
Riverview in the city.
I already said River.
So this is again.
Riverview
This
in the
is
city.
the Roundabout of Death
Yeah.
Okay.
on the north side. By the way, the Roundabout of Death, for those of you who don't know, is a 6-way roundabout in North City, which is
a park in the middle.
no sidewalk,
Yeah.
no overpass, and has a park in the middle.
That you can't access.
And if you're driving a car, if you're walking, if you're in it or around it in any way, you are in peril of being hit by a
You're
car.
dead.
But it is the wildest thing. Literally in the center of this roundabout, a decent sized circle plot.
Very
and it's
big.
designated a park. It has some park things in it, but
I
there's
swear, if somebody
no
put a bench
there's
there.
no crosswalks crossing the circle itself. It's just
And all the roads are teed into it too. So it's
Yeah.
if you're not paying attention, the cars are in the park.
I don't know Riverview at that roundabout doesn't turn into Florissant. It doesn't.
Why is that your answer for everything on the north side,
Well, I'm
David?
thinking, but I know those intersections. Is it at
David,
at that intersection.
David, don't feel bad. Colin doesn't know these either. He just did the research.
No.
I did know most of these, actually.
I'm curious.
I did not know this one, I will say.
The roundabout.
I'll take it for myself.
Does it change at the roundabout?
It does change at the roundabout.
Then it cannot be 367?
It is 367.
That I said wasn't one that I said before.
There are 6 roads that come into this roundabout. We discussed 2 other ones.
David's correct in this situation.
Thank you.
So 367 is Riverview and Lewis and Clark.
Thank you.
And it changes at the roundabout. For those of you who are wondering, the 6 roads that come into that roundabout, which is called Halls Ferry Circle, even though it's only one of the things that exits it, are Halls Ferry, Riverview again, but not designated as 367, Lewis and Clark, Broadway, and Goodfellow Boulevard.
Yeah.
5.5.
So we brought this up because we wanted to talk about the city-county divide.
Yeah.
And our gripes about it. I have a few personally.
Yeah.
First of all, I think this is a topic many, if not all of St. Louisans know about.
If you don't know about it, you don't have your eyes open when you're driving.
Right.
Or ever, because it's there. It's on the map.
People kind of know the history about it.
I think people don't realize, people who have lived in St. Louis their whole life, which I am not one of those people, I think don't realize how weird it is.
Yeah. And everything that I've experienced in my life is the norm.
Right.
You know,
and, there are not very many cities in the United States that are divided in the way that St. Louis is.
Here, let me tell you, in recent years, and not by recent, I mean like kind of recent, the cities surrounding St. Louis that changed over from a city-county divide to a merged single entity.
Now, to be clear, were these
are just cities close to us?
See, but
in proximity.
But they didn't have like the geopolitical uniqueness of our situation is like the city of St. Louis is its own county, seceded from St. Louis County.
Yes.
These ones, prior to unification, the major city was still within the county, correct?
For 2 of them, I believe, yes.
Okay.
I believe for Nashville and Indy, they were pretty similar to St. Louis.
Okay.
So Nashville changed over in 1962.
I thought those were like Jacksonville, where Jacksonville became Duval County.
You might be right.
I think, yeah.
I need to look further
Nashville
into
became Davidson County. And,
yes.
And I'm not exactly sure about Indianapolis.
I think Indianapolis was pretty close to St. Louis.
But the weird, like Bradley was saying, the weird thing about St. Louis City and County is that like St. Louis City existed already.
Yes.
And then
and to be fair, was on its way to being like one of the great cities of the world. And
then we signed this. And to be fair, I mean,
well, it actually was okay for the time being.
Right, because what city would ever be 61.7 square miles big? Womp womp.
It was okay for the time being, but literally in a decade, they were like, "Oh, Kansas City,"
and it's like we've flipped the reasons why, and we'll talk about all that.
So Nashville merged in 1962. Indy was 1970, but the things that I didn't realize was Kansas City merged in 1997. While we have been alive.
And I'm assuming that St. Louis and St. Louis County, they separated in 1940, 1950, right?
1876.
Correct.
Yeah.
Louisville was 2003.
I didn't know Louisville merged.
Louisville merged in 2003.
Oh, wow. So you're saying that there is
recent precedent.
Yeah.
for making a change in the way the geopolitics of your municipality, regional area is set up. Cool. Well, and I think we talked we want to go in depth into the research background, create some, informational tools that really tell the story of the city-county divide. But today we're just going to hit it
we got some gripes.
What are our big gripes today? I'm going to bring in my first gripe, which I think is probably the one that most people who know about this know about it, is the statistical impact of the St. Louis city-county divide. The fact that St. Louis City is its own discrete county, separate from the county in general and the metropolitan area, means that when crime statistics, other statistics, crime statistics are calculated that, you know, when you take the list, like top 10 most dangerous cities, it's like, oh, St. Louis, Detroit, all this stuff. It's like, yes, there are issues. Every city has issues. Yes, we have issues. However, whereas most cities are, those statistics are calculated by like their metropolitan area, or just like the fact that they're not bound in by this tiny 60 square mile, you know, line that some farm, you know, guys said.
Which Colin said, and sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
Colin said is the same size land square miles as
Wildwood.
As Wildwood.
Wildwood and the city of St. Louis have the same footprint, but the city of St. Louis has like, 10 times more people.
Yeah, that's wild. Wood, you listen to me as I say.
Kick him out! Kick him out!
I'm overusing the bell.
Yeah, you really are.
Take it away. But so what happens is you have this, and really it comes down to like a methodological anomaly, because like the line just happens to be there. So those are the statistics. Those are the statistics you have.
It is a hard word.
Statistics.
It's a difficult
Ian was
word.
gonna cut
Say
me.
statistics.
Ian was gonna cut out me tripping over my words and not make me look stupid. So
No,
you
I
don't
think
need to comment on
I
it.
think it's kind of funny.
It's been acknowledged it's staying in.
Damn it!
Yeah, Ian said something.
So there are so many wild statistics that really are not comparable, but we get put on these lists. And so the outcome of that, aside from being inaccurate, is just our presence on the national scale of things is, oh yeah, St. Louis is this danger. Oh yeah, St. Louis is this stuff. We get judged as a city by the nation based on these statistical anomalies, based on that line being drawn, which is, patently unfair and to a level, untrue in the way it's experienced by people.
I was listening to Overarching Prime, if we're going to acknowledge that, deep cuts. But I think David said, and I don't know where your stats were on this if you want to source it out, but that St. Louis would drop from being number 1 in the country in crime to being number 22 if the city and county were to merge. And people will say to that, oh, well, of course, because there's no crime in the county. It's like, A, shut up. B, C, that's how crime is counted. You have some bad parts of town, but
Right.
beyond that, you have a city that functions like a city, not like an island.
Right.
I
If you had a
29th now.
sure,
I'm just making
even
sure
better.
know that.
Yeah, these are 2019 stats, and it's like if you had like a string of carjackings in Wildwood, oh my God, it'd be crazy.
Yeah,
Scale
the per
that up
capita
times
would-
10. Like, here we are.
Right.
It's literally the same land area. It's
But-
that small.
Exactly. But when we're talking about major population centers, no one cares. No one on the national thing is going to care about, like, oh, what's the rate of crime in Wildwood, Missouri? Because, like, anyone who lives in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, even parts of the Metro East and St. Charles, like, if you go to the zoo, you are a part of the St. Louis region. So, like, that line is arbitrary. And honestly, that line, I know we're not going to hit on the history of it too much. This is a little nugget. Stay tuned for when we do the deep dive. That line, when they drew it, they talked about it being at Grand,
Yes,
even smaller,
Grand.
only did they say, well, we want Forest Park, and that's why the line is there.
And we would be right now, I think about this kind of a lot, sitting in this room would be in the county.
Yeah.
This is technically on the west side of Grand, just barely, but it is. Speaking of the line, I'm going to talk about my gripes.
Yeah.
Which both include the line. A couple fun things, and maybe another game involving streets. So in researching this, I was kind of tracing the line of the city of St. Louis. If you want some cool things, go on the city government website. There is a interactive map with like an overlay, and you can see like to the house, like where the line hits, and it like cuts through people's houses. It does some really wacky stuff. But there are 2 elements of the line that really grind my gears, and one of those is, it's the River des Peres. We all know it. And the River des Peres the River des Peres is only, we consider it the line, but there's quite a bit on some like where Morgan Ford becomes Union.
Yeah.
It crosses down by about half a mile beyond it. But there is part of it that's the River des Peres. But I just wanted an excuse to talk about the River des Peres because
it should be a tourist attraction.
Yeah, it kind of was.
People would come in and be like,
it was.
So River des Peres Yacht
It
Club
was.
is
So,
a real thing.
The River des Peres was and still is the upper part of it, natural small river that flowed out of Creve Coeur, and comes down and through a series of tunnels ends up in Forest Park. That was there. Not the tunnels, but like the swampy marsh that became tunnels, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of that was there in the 1890s. In 1904, World's Fair was happening. They needed a place for all the shit.
World's Fair in 1904?
Believe it or not.
Little known fact.
Whoa.
But less thought about fact is all those people shit. They all pooped.
Everybody poops.
Everybody poops, including in 1904. And so they needed a place for all that poop to go. And so they created the River des Peres through Forest Park and then down south. It was absolutely a modern marvel at the time. But it was an open air sewer. And in 1922, they were Mayor Keel Opera House fame, went so far as to construct a billboard in his re-election campaign that and it was tied into like making changes to the river as well. And the billboard said, and I quote, "Think this over. What other big city would have an open sewer running through a fine big park?" Which is old-timey and fun. But
it's
true.
A fine
it's
big
direct.
park.
It's fair.
But
Back when the word fine meant fine.
back when it meant something.
Back when fine just didn't mean okay.
Well, I think you're fine. I found this poem that was published in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch in 1894 when they were starting that construction for the World's Fair.
I'm not the comment section like.
Oh boy, who knows?
In 1894.
But when they were starting that, when they were starting that open air sewer construction, it was very controversial, as it would be today. You know, reading about this, it just sounded like it might as well have been today. And there was like a bunch of these pictures of flooding that happened because of it on DeBoliver. They're looking down toward the Jefferson Memorial, and it was like, wow, that could have been taken yesterday. Oh. But this is the poem, and Ian, if you can add some like fanciful music over this,
some Ken Burns banjo.
This is called The Beautiful River des Peres, author unknown, published in August 1894 in the Post-Dispatch. With deep dejection and disaffection, I often think of those sewage smells, which rise sublimely and most untimely from Forest Park's secluded dells. The cabbage old, its fort may hold, and breathe manifold its fragrant air. But no afflatus is so non-gratis as that from thee, O River des Peres. There's a second verse. The odorous cheeses and freighted breezes I've smelled full oft in many a clime. But the matchless flavor of thy sewage savor can discount them all at any time. So where'er I wander, I grew sick and ponder, how much less fonder of thee I'll dream. Thou rank pestiferous and deep odiferous, germ-laden sewage stream.
Yeah.
Amen.
It's also, this is an old print, and its fort may hold kind of looks like its fart may hold, and I am sad that it's not.
It's funny.
Bars.
Yeah, it was good bars.
If anybody out there knows who wrote that, let me know, because it didn't say. It
deserves a Pulitzer.
Absolutely. The second gripe that I have about the border, and this is kind of getting to our game a little bit. Maybe I'll let's see. We'll play a game. Skinker. So I want to do a deep dive.
Line.
Skinker is the line.
Skinker is the line.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of, and yes.
Yeah,
and no.
it meanders, but for all intents and purposes, I have a feeling that my gripe about Skinker is having to do with the line. And the reason it's a feeling is because there's not a lot of information on this online. And I would love to know. Yes, I know Skinker changes names. Yes, I know that these things are named after things.
Yeah.
But why? Why does it do this? Skinker, in what, like 10 miles or so, goes through 8 different names.
8.
It's one road.
It is one road. Some of these names last 1,000 feet or less.
I was gonna say, because I can think like there's like the 3 big ones for sure.
Yeah, but there's more than 3.
So let's start from the south.
Starting from the south, you
From
have
Lansdowne.
Yep, from it starts at Lansdowne and ends up at, I had to look at the map, but Wabash is number 1.
Ellendale.
Correct, and that one only lasts about 500 feet and changes arbitrarily.
And Bradley and I used to live off of that Ellendale.
Yeah.
Looking at from what you guys have told me,
from
what you guys told me, I actually probably could pinpoint your exact house. While I was looking at the map and I was seeing how the line cut through certain cul-de-sac streets, and how the end of the street was like in the county, but the beginning of the street was in the city.
That's what it's different. So here's the thing. This is the interesting thing about that line is, so we lived in a house on Arsenal, which was separated from Arsenal. That was off.
Oh, okay. I saw this.
Yes, on Arsenal, off of Arsenal, separated from Arsenal.
That house was in the city, because like the city line hit like outside that cul-de-sac, right where the railroad tracks were. That we'd hop the railroad tracks to get to Marshall to walk to Schlafly Bottle Works.
Right
now, we also lived a little bit further up the street off McCausland, which is our next name in this line, off Horner Avenue. That is a cul-de-sac where we were functionally, our apartment complex was functionally an exclave, because you could, where the line drew through the cul-de-sac, the apartment complex was in St. Louis County, but you could not access that except through St. Louis City.
So for 3 years, we lived 100 feet from the city-county line at a maximum at all times.
Did your street change names at the end?
No.
So yeah, we got Wabash. Wabash.
Ellendale.
Wabash changes at Wellington Court. Ellendale changes absolutely randomly, maybe at Canterbury Ave. And if you look at the map, like Wellington and Canterbury are literally 500 feet apart.
Amazing.
And then you get McCausland. That changes.
Which, speaking of sections,
Manchester-ish.
there like where Wabash, where the south end of it hits Lansdowne, there's also a residential street called McCausland that hits Lansdowne as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Okay, so, and I lied. It's not at Clayton. The Ellendale-McCausland change is kind of at Canterbury Ave, but it's really random. It's really in between two streets. What's the next? And then
Skinky.
And Skinky at Clayton.
Skinky.
Yeah.
And then Skinky. So this is a technicality. Skinker Boulevard becomes Skinker Parkway.
Oh, I didn't know.
At Olive.
I didn't know.
And that is actually the only thing online that I could find.
Olive.
Yep. That's the only thing I could find about.
And it is Skinker the longest, I'm imagining.
Yeah, ish.
Okay.
It doesn't really stay Skinker for as long as you think it does, though.
Okay.
So Skinker Parkway was the result of this big construction project that happened that they were asking for many, many years. Widened the road, but they only widened it north of Olive until it becomes the next
Keeneland.
Yes. Becomes Keeneland at Page. Now, what's next?
Does it start with a J?
Sure does.
Jennings
Station Road at Natural
I feel
Bridge.
So good.
And then it becomes.
I don't know.
It becomes this road before dead ending at Bellefontaine Drive or Road. Excuse me.
I don't know this one.
Chain of Rocks.
That's Chain of Rocks.
Chain of Rocks. Yep. And it's a small. It kind of like meanders through the neighborhood. It's a residential street, but it is straight up a continuation of the Skinker Metroplex.
I'm actually proud of us for knowing all of those.
Yeah. So to review,
besides the last one,
Wabash, Ellendale, McCausland, Skinker Parkway, Skinker Road, opposite. Keeneland, Jennings Station, Chain of Rocks. I need that on a shirt. One of those like this and that.
So
and
what
that,
we're doing
and
is
that,
we're
and
making
that.
merch for this now.
Hey.
Honestly, that's a great idea because it's a good call out to like the city-county divide.
Right.
That's a great. Can we do it in the shape of this like city-county divide and like the shape of it?
I bet
Or
you.
if you do the this and this, the and thing, but then you can do a line that does that line and do like a color
In the middle of
change.
them, all that.
Like
Nobody
a
Pick it up on our merch store
AKA Greenfinch.
at GregoryFXDaily.store.
No, but you can buy our merch at Greenfinch.
You can buy some overarching
You
hats.
can buy this hat, which is made by Imperial. Here, I'll zoom in on that. Imperial's in Bourbon, Missouri.
Not Imperial, Missouri.
That's very confusing. Imperial also makes pretty much every single hat for every single golf course in existence.
Interesting.
They have some like crazy business out there.
Nice.
But their hats are incredible.
They're imperialized the business.
Yeah. By the way, only $20.
Yep, and
We're not
catch
price
us
gouging.
and catch us at our first live show at Greenfinch on December 30th.
Yes.
Holiday
Greenfinch,
special.
December 30th, live special. It's gonna be a good time.
Greenfinch.com or greenfinchstl.com/tickets.
What's your gripe about the county divide?
I have a couple gripes, but they blend together as kind of one big gripe. So,
Big gripe.
firstly, Last year, KMOV interviewed a few county residents, and I love the person who doesn't support the merger. There's a couple people that did support it, and this person didn't. They said, and I quote, "It's a horrible idea. The only thing the city really offers for me is the attractions and ballparks. They don't do anything for me. I am going to list the attractions that this gentleman probably goes to. Just a guess. City Museum, Forest Park, and everything within Forest Park, including the Muni, the zoo, probably the golf course for some type of get together from like a chamber of commerce type, golf function and whatnot.
The art museum.
The art museum.
But not the history museum because he obviously doesn't know his history.
Oh, that's correct. He does not go to the history museum. That's a very good pull. And then Steinberg, probably, because all the other rinks around here are small. And that one is gigantic.
And that's also like one of two that are outside.
This is correct. Also, you're not allowed to come to city soccer games then. You're not allowed to come. Just don't come to the city. If that's what your gripe is, just don't come.
They're already paying taxes.
Here's the thing.
On the attraction.
Let me tell you why it's weird. Because he's already paying part of his taxes by living in the county to the zoo. He's paying them to things happening in Forest Park. He's paying them to the Metrolink. He's paying taxes that he has no idea is already existing within the city. In order to bring this back to the table, obviously Megan Green and Sam Page have said that they are here for talks. Megan Green being the president of the Board of Aldermen, preceding Lewis Reed, a convicted criminal.
For really
the
weirdest stuff.
Just Lewis, okay. Tashara doesn't really want to have those talks. Tashara, we should have those talks, lady. All right? She doesn't want to have the full-scale talks. She want to have small-scale talks. She has said, I want to have it on a smaller scale. What
does that mean?
I don't know. What are we trying? Okay. The idea...
Just a little baby mojo.
On a scale that's 61.7 square miles large?
The kind of talk that she wants to have is the idea of not really a merger, but absorbing the city limits as a municipality within the county. Not necessarily a merger.
And
I don't love that idea because of my biggest gripe.
Yeah.
Okay.
That being, if that were the case, then we would have 56 different police chiefs that we have to pay that much money for, and then 92 or whatever different mayors, which we already have. Back in 1875, there were people that lived... Okay.
Taking it back to biblical times.
Back in 1875, the population of the city limits of St. Louis were about 310,000, which is weird because that's more than today. The population of the county, even though it wasn't the county yet, was about 24,000 at the time. The idea was that the people in the county were not really doing all of the things that the city people's taxes
I only go to the county for attractions.
Right. I only go to the county to get away from it all.
The idea was that St. Louis County outside of St. Louis City was largely a rural space. It's going to remain
I don't want to pay for their
farmlands.
roads. I don't want to pay for their sewer systems. I don't want to pay for their water, all that stuff, right? What is happening today is the exact same thing flipped. People in the county are saying, I don't want to pay for that city. I don't want to pay for their roads. I don't want to pay for their taxes. Great, then don't come to the city.
And it's almost like a 1-to-1 thing too, right?
Yes,
because the ratio of people from city to county is almost exactly the opposite as it was in 1875. And it's I want to push back on something. I don't want those people to not come to the city. The people who aren't going to
want them to come to the city.
The people.
I'm just angry.
Okay, we're clarifying, David.
I do want people to come to the city.
David is very Italian, as you can tell by his gold chain on his wrist.
What's that supposed to mean?
They're an emotional little boy.
all Italians are emotional little boy. Actually,
yeah.
You're onto something. You're onto
people need to come to the city, and
Yes.
and it's like if you want to take a tax holiday to the city, cool. We're not asking everybody to move to the city. We're not coming to take our guns
That's
either.
fine.
But
we're also not trying to get the 1% tax of like paid for you guys as well. Like
No.
that's
Like,
not what we're about.
better together, other than making Steve Stanger corporate overlord or whatever, was about
King of St. Louis,
there you go.
which is an ironic statement.
The right king of a king.
King of Kings.
There he is. Steve is an awesome Steve. He
reigns in jail for
in jail until he gets out on parole.
16 months.
But they were going to add this layer of government over the city and county, which I thought was appealing because, like, you know, some county municipalities really, you know, they've been around a long time and they've developed a culture and an identity of their own, and they deserve to keep that. And that's really cool.
For sure. Each municipality has
some
its own
municipalities haven't been around all that long. Like you guys were telling me before, Maryland Heights has been around since when? 1864?
1985.
Yeah.
And then Wildwood has been around since
1995.
So
95.
And there's a bunch of other examples like this where it's like, yeah, like there really isn't a lot of history.
No.
And there really isn't. It's like you went from unincorporated to incorporated, and thusly
There's still
you have
10 unincorporated areas
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
St. Louis County.
And to David's gripe and your point, what I'm hearing you
still have
saying
something
is
else,
like
but
the
continue.
one of the big, you know, the geopolitics of it all is, but the fact is like we have so many functional redundancies in this area, like any other region, you know, across the same like population landmass would benefit from and become more efficient with, you know, one fire protection, one, you know, police. Like there's a lot of public services that we are wasting money and resources on by splitting it up between all these municipalities where it could just be this one thing. And to that point too, we talk about these new municipalities. The reason, like, not just is the city-county line thing unique, the way that blossomed all these tiny municipalities in this larger metropolitan area is also unique and weird. Many of them weren't like, you know, you think of something like Kirkwood, Webster, like, oh, it was this city that was over there, and then like as sprawl happened, it became connected to the region. That's one thing. A lot of these other ones, they started because this was literally a subdivision. And then everyone in that subdivision started saying, hey, we're an unincorporated subdivision. We don't want all our money just getting spent in any way the county wants it to, so we're going to incorporate so we can keep all our money in our own things. And that has, like, when you have all these like tiny pockets next to each other, that becomes super inefficient, super wasteful, and like just gets everything stuck when we could be progressing and making a better region for everybody.
And to go a little bit further on the idea of like getting rid of that type of congestion of so many different municipalities having redundancies, as you said, the biggest, most effective economic impact you can have on this region would be simplifying things for business owners, larger businesses around the country and the globe, by giving them a reason and incentivizing them to come to St. Louis. When they see St. Louis, outside of the city limits of St. Louis anyways, of course they see all the crime statistics of the city limits of St. Louis.
The PR problem that we have.
Yes.
Generally. Yeah.
And outside of just the crime, the lack of incentives there are for businesses and developers in the city limits of St. Louis, there are so many different municipalities that businesses have to familiarize themselves with. They can't fathom the amount of lawyers that they have to pay for in order to understand how to bring their business to St. Louis. If you are to truly bring more economic value to the area and thusly your residents, that, in my opinion, will have the biggest impact. Is when merging the city and county, the largest impact, the largest trickle, which is a horrible word for economics, will be that of making things simpler for business owners to come to St. Louis. in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like I always say, like metro area efficiency in terms of government, in terms of advancement, in terms of progress, is a lot like track stars. As I always say.
As you always say.
Yeah.
But for the people who don't hear it every day from you, expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I totally know what that means.
It's like the, cities in Europe or even you could even in U.S. standards, like New York City can get stuff done, I guess, faster than we can. Let's just say the best possible city efficiency model is Usain Bolt. St. Louis is QWOP.
Wow.
You ever play QWOP?
That's a really good analogy there.
I know. But instead of QWOP, instead of QWOP.
And you know why it's actually a good one? Because QWOP is fun.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
And this is the argument about
that's
living
why
here.
we
say St. Louis is
St. Louis.
fun. St. Louis is
no,
not.
it's not. I promise. It's so hard. You have to do 4 things at once. It's actually not that hard.
Yeah, for the QWOP, put it up here, Ian.
You're going to make Ian play QWOP.
So many things.
QWOP is done with 4 keys. You have to control each limb with Q, W, O, and P. But in St. Louis, instead of just 4 keys, it's 91.
It used to be 28. Now it's 14.
Oh, that's funny. That's the city. In the county,
it's 91.
It's 91.
So other kind of final gripe I wanted to hit on before we move on to the next thing is one that I
guess
think
the final thing. Yes.
Yeah. And I think this is something as someone who grew up in St. Louis County, I think we don't think about, and I'd love to hear Colin's perspective on this as someone who moved to town. But it's the psychological impact of the city-county divide. I remember specifically, like, I had a conversation with Colin years ago and talking about neighborhoods. He's like, where places are. And in my mind, I didn't realize that, like, psychologically, I had separated the idea of urban landscape and neighborhood organization and suburban landscape and neighborhood organization as distinctly city-county things. Like, if you're in the city of St. Louis, you're in an urban landscape. And if you're in the county of St. Louis, you're in a suburban landscape, which sort of tracks. But, like, we were talking about, I think it was, like, Southampton. Colin's like, oh, yeah, that's suburban. I'm like, that's suburban? No, it's like, I thought, like, well, no, it's urban because it's in the city.
Right. And you go even souther of there, you get to, like, St. Louis Hills, which straight up looks like you could take it out of any suburban, like,
it's basically Brentwood.
Right, but then you get to, like, what, downtown Clayton, the Manhattan of the Midwest. It's on tote bags. It's a whole thing.
Really?
Is it on tote bags?
Oh, yeah, it is.
What? Well, that makes sense that it's on tote bags, actually.
But, yeah, I mean, like, downtown Clayton,
yeah,
actually quite walkable.
There
and, like, you know, it's actually it's a small downtown little area.
Yeah, and so like that, like, my perception of these things is totally driven by that line. Also, you know, talking about, like, comment sections and stuff, like, oh, the dangerous city, oh, this and that. It's obviously people are still going to be tribal and kind of, like, draw lines between, okay, neighborhoods and stuff. But the fact that we have this codified line between, you know, the county and the city, I think that just, like, that psychological impact of that line on paper really separates us more than we would otherwise be separated organically.
Yeah, I'd like to admit, yeah.
The thing I like to kind of relate it to, what's been at least elucidated to me since moving here. I've lived in St. Louis for, you know, almost 8 years now. And as a transplant in the city of St. Louis.
And you haven't gotten shot?
The thing that's been elucidated to me is it's like Berlin. There's these maps of Berlin that were printed during, you know, the partition of Berlin that literally showed the entire part of the other side of Berlin, east or west, depending if you were on the opposite side, as completely blacked out. Like, it was a void in the map that didn't exist. I think it's the most recent episode of Map Men. If you want to go look at that, is where I saw this to begin with. And it's straight up like the East Berlin would publish maps that just had the entire side of West Berlin on the map, but blacked out.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how a lot of people, not generalizing completely, there's a lot of people in the county that, you know, want to see the city succeed, that love the city, that don't have any problem coming to the city. But there is a pervasive vision of the city from the county that I feel very much feels like that, where it's like it's just this black hole, and in there is, there's Cardinal Stadium, there's the Fox, there's Forest Park, and I live outside of that black hole. When really it's the center of our universe and the beating heart of our city, and our heart has problems. We need to go see a doctor, but it doesn't make it any less the beating heart of our region.
Yeah.
And without it, it's done.
Yeah.
We're an island in the corn.
Yep. Speaking of heart health.
Speaking of islands.
Speaking of
Maybe
corn.
we should talk about Lego Island again.
Lego!
What?
Speaking of heart health, cardiovascular activity.
Yeah.
It's 31425. Bikes, baby.
Bikes, baby.
Don't.
We 31425. 3 is mid, 1 is best, 5 is bad.
Talking about places to ride your bike.
Places to ride your bike.
But specifically as transportation.
Yeah.
Places to ride your bike as transportation that you can see as green lines on
Google Maps. And that is what we used as our source for this. If you can turn on the cycling mode on Google Maps and be like, I want to get to this other place across town, it will give you directions on these roads.
Right. And so these include trails, dedicated lanes, bicycle-friendly roads, and then also dirt or unpaved trails. So like Katy Trail.
Okay.
But like,
And what we will see, not to give away the goose, bike-friendly roads is a little generous.
Yeah, that's quite an elusive term.
31425, bikes as transportation. I ride a bike a lot. I take the bus. I do all the things. I've not ridden all these trails, but I have ridden a lot of them. I know you used to ride as well.
I used to ride a lot, and I don't anymore.
I used to ride when I lived with Bradley.
And there's a lot of great stuff that has happened bike wise over the last couple of years, like literally the last couple of years. Brickline Greenway has been doing a lot of awesome work in the city. They are
Great Rivers.
Great Rivers Greenway, my bad. Brickline Greenway is part of that Greenway system. Great Rivers Greenway has been doing a lot of great work in the city over the last couple of years, like literally the last couple of years. Yeah. And it is...
it hurts that it had to be like a private entity teamed up with someone
right,
to do it.
And that's part of why it's not on this list.
It's just stupid.
Because when it's all done, it'll be great.
Yeah.
And parts of it are on this list, but it's not connected yet.
Yeah.
And if you...
It'll take 10 years.
Maybe more. Also not included on this list, but something I want to shout out before we start. St. Louis's first protected bike intersection, which if you want to talk about how far behind St. Louis is in some stuff.
Think about that sentence.
This is St. Louis, not just the city, not just the county, like literally the
Area.
region's first protected bike lane intersection. Portland, other places, been having these for literal decades. Jefferson and Choteau, right by my house. It's great. Yeah. Anyway, number three. A real bike trail that will, in fact, take you somewhere. It might be one place, but it takes you somewhere, and that is the Chesterfield Levee Trail.
The Levee Trail.
It's pretty.
Yeah, honestly, you can rip down it. You can fly.
You can get to the district so fast.
I've gotten like 30 miles an hour on that before, and that was for maybe like a second, peeking out, and then being tired.
Yeah. I mean, if you happen to live in the Strode on the other side of the highway, you can get to the district on your bike by your, like, just, it's perfect for you.
They're trying to connect it, the whole thing, as an actual levee loop instead of the Levee Trail.
That's wonderful. And it'll be great for downtown Chesterfield.
Yeah, but it does connect and go
That's
over
not
the
a
bridge.
thing.
It does go over the bridge.
It does.
To the Katy Trail.
Yes. Yeah, which is cool. And then the Katy Trail, obviously, you know, if this was about Missouri. Not bikes as transportation.
One of the best things about Missouri, honestly.
Really,
Katy
it's
Trail.
genuinely amazing.
It's a phenomenal piece of land.
Stop trying to make downtown Chesterfield a thing. It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
You can't, a planned neighborhood? How about a planned city? Nope, in between. A planned downtown.
Yes.
Love it.
Yep.
Number one.
So weird.
Number one.
A real 425. Number one.
A real bike trail.
An actual bike trail that
separated
you can
from
take
traffic
as transportation
that takes you
consistently
a lot of places and is undergoing significant expansion. And actually, not undergoing. It's done.
AKA our opinion of the best bike trail in St. Louis.
It's Grants Trail.
It's Grants Trail.
It's obviously Grants Trail.
And it's not even close.
You can take all the way from Kirkwood all the way down to South County, through neighborhoods, through mixed use, connecting to all sorts of other stuff, and now connects back up to the city via the greenway next to 55. Yep. And it's great. And it's separated. It's literally like you never, ever once, except for, dedicated lights that you have to encounter traffic.
You constantly see people on it. It's like...
It's
like, whoa.
That's the thing.
Every time I go by the intersection on Watson, every time I go to Guitar Center.
Every time, so there's dedicated lights. Every single crossing of Grants Trail, as far as I know, and I've ridden the whole thing, has lights. I haven't ridden the new extension yet. I need to. It has lights, and literally every time I'm in a car, there's people. I have to stop at those lights. Mm-hmm. It's like people use good amenities.
And they're elevated curbs in a lot of places,
and here's the crazy part.
Elevated curbs.
Where do most people who are anti this kind of infrastructure live?
St. Charles County. I
was hoping you would say in the county. Say that.
No. Kansas City.
The craziest part is that Grants Trail is mostly in the county.
Yeah.
Actually, Grants Trail is entirely in the county.
Yes.
The extension goes into the city a little bit.
It's pretty much entirely county.
Right. Why are we shooting ourselves in the foot? Anyway, number one, Grants Trail, it's not even close. Number four, this is a bike-friendly street that's actually bike-friendly, kind of, but they have dedicated lanes, but no protection.
But, needs to be way better because it's kind of a fallacy of a bike lane.
Right. It's there. If you stop paying attention for just a second, you are going to get hit by a car.
You're like, whoa, wait. This is painted green, David. Doesn't that mean it's safe?
And that's why this might be a hot take. It's Arsenal, baby.
Yeah.
Arsenal, pride of the city.
Less than mid.
The bike lanes are green.
So what?
Portland's bike lanes are green. It must be. No, it's just they painted the bike lanes green.
Ever heard of a Ballard? Bollard.
And even on Morgan Ford going down from that bike lane, which is a great little downtown, great little business strip.
Yeah.
With awesome pedestrian access, sort of. There's a lot of walkability happening there. It's right in the middle of a neighborhood. They've painted pedestrian bump out curbs. They haven't actually built them.
Yeah.
So it's like you're doing something. I'm not even sure if it's the bare minimum for protection.
I mean, hopefully that's they're gonna build them and they're just trying to train cars to look for it. But it is it's just painted
it's just about visibility.
Which
is not nothing.
Which is not nothing.
But it's almost nothing.
But it's not enough. Yeah,
and it is not nothing, but it's a step above nothing.
Yeah.
That's why it's 4. It's a step above nothing.
Yeah. And along these lines, and I think this is, and part of this too is just it's a symptom of not prioritizing protected lanes, but it's also a symptom of highway dependency, whereas we know that South City has the least density of, highways running through it. So all these arterials in South City, you got, Arsenal and Chippewa and all that stuff is these are, 2 lanes in either direction, and all this traffic that it carries, all this car-centric traffic, you have to set aside space for bikes for it to work. Whereas you get into places closer to these highways, more cars are diverted onto the highways, so it naturally... Now, the ideal is setting aside space for bikes, not saying, add another lane on the highway.
To cap this off for number 4, you bring up a great point. Highways, right? If all of a sudden we got rid of all the highways and kept all the cars we had, streets would be incredibly congested. It'd be a nightmare to get anywhere. Always. Bikes also need highways.
Grants Trail is an example of a bike highway, more or less. With the exception of that it has lights and not overpasses, but it is a completely separate trail that takes you somewhere.
Yep.
We should start marketing things as bike highways.
They do.
I think
they call them bikeways.
No, in England,
bike highways.
They call them bike highways.
Okay,
yeah,
we should start doing that. I think more people would be on board.
Yeah,
because we're using car terminology.
Mm-hmm. I don't care what it takes to get it done.
If we can market bikes and pedestrian-friendly transportation, this is a walking highway. This is a foot highway. This is a highway for your feet. I'm in. Oh my God! Have you seen that guy's cars on his feet, aka shoes?
If only we could fart carbon monoxide.
Have you seen those guys' auto shoes before? Fart carbon monoxide. That's a really good.
Wait, your auto shoes? You mean your rollerblades?
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Shred the gnar.
Thank you.
Comment down below if shred the gnar is a real thing.
Shred the gnar is a real, and it should stay forever.
Okay.
Shred the gnar and
I heard
hit the pit is that's.
I heard my good friend, and I'm going to dox him, John Gramlich, say that once, and I wasn't sure if it was real because he's a good guy. Shout out John. Number 2 is like a 5-way tie.
Also number 2, we weren't necessarily going back and forth between number 1 and 2 because it is pretty clear.
But number 2's got some good stuff. These are bike networks that are mostly good. That get the job done. If this was the entire city network, we'd be great.
I'd say the best well-connected networks.
Correct. Grants Trail is just one massive trail that's connected to another pretty massive trail.
Yeah.
These are mostly networks. Some of them have a massive trail, but number 2, and again, this is a 5-way tie. I'm leading with the one that I'm most familiar with, the Forest Park, Forsyth, Wash U Metroplex.
Yes.
The Bikeplex, if you will.
Bikeplex.
I literally used to take this when I
Bike Highway Network.
Right. I used to work at Coca in U City, and
did it smell good
at Coca?
Yeah.
It did not smell like cocoa, if that you were asking. It did not smell like caca either, which is also close. But I got your jokes. Not exactly sure which one you were going for.
Neither.
But it didn't smell like either. It smelled like children coming out of dance class.
That's bad.
Is that too weird?
No, it kind of is.
Okay.
We're gonna let it go.
It's also not a lie.
No. It's not weird, but somehow it is.
I
not weird.
think there's no world where you can talk about the smell of children.
I don't like that.
It is. Whoa, that's such a weird sentence.
When you say it out loud,
where you can talk about the smell of children.
Let's all just say it.
Nope.
Into a microphone. We all did already. So please don't title the episode "The Smell of Children."
Just cut the whole section.
No, leave it. It's funny.
Anyway, I used to work at Coca, and I used to take this route through Forest Park and up through Forsyth. And this is before actually they added so many cool bike lane, like Wash U's internal network is incredible. And then they redid the bridge that goes over Forest Park Parkway, and you can take that all the way up.
Did you hear Wash U's going to develop the southeast corner of Skinker and Delmar?
No.
The former Church's Chicken.
That's so cool.
They're
actually, I always wondered what that was.
I don't know exactly what they're doing, but they said they're going to do something.
That's very cool.
Nice.
And you can ride your bike there, kind of.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get your bike tire stuck in the loop trolley tracks, which I have also done.
Which is also one of the funniest
signs?
road signs.
Oh my God, I'm glad you brought this up. Ian, throw it up here.
We're making Ian do so much work.
The sign.
He loves it.
The sign on, nearing the corner of Delmar and Skinker.
All over the place.
Well, is it? Okay, the one
across America, anyways.
Oh,
it is a thing across America.
I guess I've only ever run into it here because South Florida doesn't have streetcars.
It's because there's not much bike infrastructure here.
Yes, it's fair. There's no bike infrastructure on Delmar.
There's no bike infrastructure with trams.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. It's not bike infrastructure. It's just you ride in the street and try not to hit the tram. But it's on. It's on Delmar, and it's literally just a guy getting his bike tire stuck and flying over the handlebars. Yeah. It's great.
But why down in Forsyth or
tied for number 2? Here's the 5. We got the Forest Park, Forsyth, Wash U Plex. We got the Shaw Park and 170 corridor in Clayton. We got this is a big one. The only reason this isn't higher is because it doesn't go a lot of places, but it does go a lot of places. Keener Plaza, Brickline Greenway, Riverfront Trail, which you can take from, right now at least, from the soccer stadium. All the way down through the arch, and then north and south to Soulard and all the way up to Chain Rocks Bridge.
It's only 20 blocks, but
it's a big 20 blocks.
Yeah.
And to have a pretty much completely protected bike lane, even though people don't know how to park on Chestnut.
I was to say that area of Chestnut is how you should design protected bike
Let the
lanes.
Cars protect the bikes. Yes, absolutely. Park on the outside of the bike trail. You can literally do it with paint. That's all it is. Like it doesn't cost zero money, but it costs a lot less than actually paving stuff.
If you put the meter markers on the outside of the bike path, then it'll work.
That's
Makes
the thing.
sense. Use
That's the thing that people
as
don't.
the bollards.
Yep, absolutely.
Makes perfect sense.
The Creve Coeur Park Bikeplex, where you can take it from, what is it? Vigus.
But Aquaport through...
Aquaport. What is the name of that subdivision? Is it Vigus?
It's not like... Yeah, that's how I've heard it pronounced, but it's not a subdivision. It's like... It's a industrial park.
Oh, well, Google Maps labels it like it's a neighborhood. You can take it from Aquaport all the way over the bridge into St. Charles and almost to downtown St. Charles.
You can the Katy Trail takes you all the way downtown.
Yeah, it takes you to downtown St. Charles.
Does that connect to the Katy Trail?
Yeah. You get like,
right
you go right across the bridge and you can keep going, or you go like down this
There's the Bike
switchback.
Stop Cafe.
Like we would.
Oh, is that where the Bike Stop Cafe is?
Yeah,
we would so many years because one of the good things about St. Charles is
there are many things actually.
If you're into watching fireworks on the 4th of July,
There's many things that's good about St. Charles.
if you're into watching fireworks on the 4th of July, Riverfront Park, St. Charles, has a nice spread of like things to do and a good fireworks show. And we often, as a family, would ride our bikes from our house in Maryland Heights through the Creve Coeur Park, across the bridge, down into St. Charles, and see fireworks and ride it back.
And you know what?
Only 12
Some
miles.
love to St. Charles here. Speaking of pedestrianism, St. Charles City, and this I'm not being sarcastic here, has the bravery to close their downtown to traffic for like 2 months out of the year.
It's not actually that long. So they only close it to traffic during parades and stuff.
Isn't it all of the Christmas and
traditions?
Halloween
it's
stuff?
not entirely all of Christmas traditions anymore. They do it's literally like certain times of the day. They should cancel it for the whole month of this, like for the whole days that Christmas tradition is going on, which is Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. They should cancel it for all that, but it's only like during a parade that they shut it down. It makes no sense.
I retract my compliment to St. Charles.
Yes. Do you know how many business owners commented on my video about shutting down? They were like, never do this. This will make people go away from my business and never shop at my business ever.
No, it'll induce foot traffic,
Okay,
which will
thank
get
you.
more business.
Thank you. And they were like, this happened on the north side back in the 80s, and nothing ever happened. Yeah, because other kind of infrastructure was not allowing that to happen.
Yeah, and you can't. That's the thing. You can't half-ass it.
You can't.
I
to go
dream.
all in.
This is my official announcement for running for mayor. I dream of either burying Grand or shutting it down to traffic and letting Vandeventer and Compton take the load of traffic.
Yeah.
And I know. I bet you some of you watching this are recoil at the thought of that. But you have to have car infrastructure that also works in tandem with that for people to drive to Grand, be able to park, and then walk on to Grand.
And if you have a well-functioning streetcar that hits parking structures and things where people want to be, someone will park in a structure and then spend their day on their feet.
It's almost like people already do this for the Cardinals games.
Ballpark Village, walkability.
Also, like parking at Shrewsbury and taking the Metro, walkability.
Yeah.
Like that's totally fine too. I'm not saying everybody needs to freaking give up their cars and start walking everywhere and biking everywhere. Like make Grand the district at Chesterfield again. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like
Get that on a bumper sticker, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody.
Number.
Also one more time. Sorry, this is and we're giving this the shaft too, which is what I didn't want to do with this, but much love also number 2 to the Umsel Ted Jones Trail.
Yes.
Which needs all the love in the world.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Share your
Downtown Ferguson through Umsel all the way down to some natural bridge. It's great. It goes through great neighborhoods and it makes people attend Umsel and also shop in downtown Ferguson.
Yes.
Go Ted Jones Trail. Number 5.
Recurring guest star.
Huntley, baby.
recurring guest star.
I will take.
Not just Hunt.
Are we batting 1,000 for Huntley shitting?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think we did it on episode 1.
Okay, well, go back and edit
Go
in
back.
just a little clip of like Huntley.
It's like Huntley.
Did you know that on Google? So this, by the way, this label. So I have number 1 is like a real bike trail that gets you places, and then bike networks that are mostly good, blah, 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 blah. This one's just labeled as horrifying. Limburg running between Kirkwood and all
the way.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's true.
All the way.
The one the part that's particularly egregious is for me is between Kirkwood and Plaza Frontenac.
Yes.
But all of it is labeled as bike friendly. What?
People are flying down there going 55 miles an hour.
Unless by bike you mean motorcycle.
Yeah, motorcycle.
Yeah. But I don't know if this is just like a Google Maps problem, but we decided that was the qualifier for inclusion on this list. But is the length of Limburg, which I know, like the other episode, Colin, you mentioned Limburg as being this, functionally divided highway there, by Huntleigh. It's more so of a divided highway you get north when you're going through Creve Coeur, going, through the tunnel.
That's true.
Still has
Getting
a dotted
close
green
to
line
Florissant.
on Google
it goes
Maps.
all the way to Florissant.
Yeah, so if I was
So much Strode.
right.
So much Strode.
So if I was in Huntleigh, if I was living in the great city of Huntleigh, and I wanted to ride my bike
on Blues Parkway.
on Blues Parkway.
Blues Highway.
Blues Highway.
Ooh.
I didn't know this. We were looking at the maps. Apparently, that section of
Friggin'
Limburg
rain.
is labeled Blues Highway.
It's because Wayne Gretzky lives there. He's doxxed
I wonder
now.
if he
Wayne Gretzky
paid
lives in
for it.
Huntleigh.
That'd be so weird. Because he owns the Coyotes.
That's true. Well, then it'd be Coyotes Highway.
That'd be the ultimate docs.
Weird that the amount of people in Huntleigh are the amount of people who attend Arizona Coyotes games.
Ha 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 ha. Very good.
It's a deep.
It's mostly
It's a-
Arizona State students.
Well, isn't their stadium right now is like 500 people or something?
5,000.
Oh, it's still tiny. It's under construction, I guess. If you wanted to ride your bike from Huntleigh to even Plaza Frontenac, which is more likely, but if I wanted to ride to Florissant, if I wanted to ride anywhere north, and by north I don't mean north, I mean like literally just the direction, I would have to go out onto Limburg, go south, because it's divided with a freaking cement thing, unless I wanted to go across traffic and heave my bike over. I'm talking about like if I put in Google, I want to go to this address and it's north of me.
Yeah.
I would go out onto Limburg, be competing with that actual highway, like limited access highway traffic.
Yeah.
Have to make a U-turn at, was it Manchester?
I think there might be a U-turn lane before there.
Oh, a U-turn lane where I have to cross all 4 lanes of traffic in my bike?
Well, no, you like veer right and then it puts you, but yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't go over the highway. You have to come back against the...
Correct.
Yeah. It just puts you at a 90 as opposed to having to make a U-turn.
Yeah.
That's all it does. It's not like
It's signalized, but
Oh, is it single? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
But then
better.
you-
But then I have to go back north and compete with traffic that entire time on a 4 to 6 lane highway.
And then you have to turn left at that major intersection at Limburg and Clayton Road if you're going to Plaza Frontenac.
Oh, true. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's impossible. It's horrifying. You will die. Don't ride your bike
Don't do it.
on Limburg, ever. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Right through a neighborhood, even if it's illegal. Don't listen to Google Maps. I'll say it. I'm brave enough to say it. Ride your bike down residential roads.
Yes, ride your bike. Also,
And ride them on sidewalks
Also,
a little
yeah.
bit sometimes.
if it's a nice sidewalk and you have no other option, ride it on the friggin' sidewalk.
Yeah.
Screw the United States of America and their idea that cars are more important than you as a pedestrian. Screw that.
I don't endorse the ride on sidewalks thing. I get where it's coming from because
I
we
also
don't
get
because
it,
we don't
but
have
like-
the infrastructure. But like sidewalks are for pedestrians,
Yes.
and we need protected bike lanes.
We don't have them.
But we also don't have pedestrians in these places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to is like, if there were pedestrians on sidewalks, there would be protected bike lanes. But we've created this ecosystem where it's dangerous to be anything other than the big hunk of metal. And actually, sometimes it's still dangerous to be in that big hunk of metal.
Yeah, read a statistic.
Yeah.
Right. More car deaths in Missouri than gun deaths. More car deaths in St. Louis than gun deaths.
Lots.
Yeah.
Like,
Lots more.
but the crime.
But the crime.
Anyway.
If you want to hear us talk about the crime done by cars and public infrastructure more on a live show at Greenfinch on December 30th, bring your tickets and another friend's tickets.
And your tickets.
And your tickets.
Bring your tuchus and your tickets to Greenfinch. You can get your tickets now on greenfinchstl.com.
Or all...
or at gregoryfxdaily.store.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time.
I guess. if I were to say,
what has this been?
I think that this has been a nice time with my two friends.
Aww.
And this is Overarching. Overarching is produced at Fly North Theatricals in beautiful Grand Center, in resonance with the Kranzberg Arts Foundation. And you can follow us on social media at Overarching St. Louis. I'm Colin.
I'm David.
And I'm Bradley.
See you later.